So are you excited? Yeah? How many interviews have you done so far?
I haven't done one in a long time.
Oh, yeah?
Are you filming now?
For a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna cut it down to a 3-second clip as soon as I figure out where
My name is Anne Mirch. I'm from Reno, Nevada. I'm a conceptual artist and a painter. This show is a culmination of 10 years of work. It's not my entire selection. I left Ruby X books out, but I have a Ruby X cutout. The book that I have for this show is Cirque Tada. I started Cirque Tada for my students, for my special ed students, because they said they didn't like to read any of the books in school. So I said, if I create a book for you, will you read it? And I said, come on, I'm making something for you. And so they said they would read it, so I made it. And this one's in color, but I made one in black and white. So the deal was, if they could read the paragraph, they could, draw and paint the picture. Yeah, she's the tireless, hopeless Gen Xer wanting to be the Andy Warhol of her generation. Yes, it has changed with me. In the Cirque Tada book, at the end, Ruby X says, well, I'm not going to tell you where the elephant, the hare, and the horse went, but I'll tell you that always do the right thing, even if no one's watching, because someone always is. And it's Ruby X with a short haircut. So during that time, I had short hair, and I made Ruby X with short hair, but through the years, it's mostly been long, and that's why, and it was really red when I was younger. When I teach, I have to teach to individual students at the same time in a group. So I use creativity a lot. Like I'll say to my writing class, okay, finish this prompt, and I'll say, I had been climbing for hours up that mountain, and when I finally got to the top, I was shocked to see, and then I finish the story up. So I like teaching writing. That's my favorite thing to teach, and I'm pretty sure the students like it because they always show up. They don't show up to my other sections, but everybody shows up to the writing one. Well, I've taught swim lessons since I was 14. And so a lot of my teaching experience comes from that, and it's teaching kids and adults how to come out of their fear and learn how to swim, how to navigate their way through the water. And it's funny, I can teach an adult how to swim a 25-yard lap of freestyle, and afterwards they'll say, I'm just not doing it right. And so then I show them a picture, a video of what they look like, and they go, that's me? And so there's that teasing out the doubt so that you can move forward and learn the skill. And I think that I carry that along in my teaching my special ed kids, trying to get them to come out of that doubt they have about learning and about fitting in. A lot of it's social emotional, I find, with my students, that they never felt connected to the curriculum or to the teacher or to their schoolmates. And it makes it really difficult to have a curiosity about learning if you're in an environment that has sections that you don't like. If, you know, I don't like this person because they bully me. I don't like this teacher because they're authority. I don't like school. I understand that. I can totally see a kid getting involved in a school environment and thinking, I'm being verbally attacked here. My sensibilities aren't the same as everybody else. You know, so what I try to do with my students is I try to create a situation where they have moments that change their life. And I taught him how to swim a lap of freestyle in a week, and he was 6 years old. And one day I saw him come into the wall, and he had this look of anguish on his face. And I said, "Why do you hate the water?" And it was it was like a gut reaction to it. I had never seen that before. When I said that to him, his face lit up. He was like so happy that somebody noticed that he hated the water. And after that, he started to play with this other little girl that was in the water. She was like a mermaid, and he just had the best time playing with her. I think an artist community is really nice, because when they get involved in a community, then there's connection there. And then there's a reason to make art. You make art because you want to show other people your stuff. I mean, that's why I started making art. I learned how to draw, and then I showed people my art, and they were like, "That's cool." And I thought, yeah, I'd go home, I'm going to create something else that people think is cool. And that kind of got changed when I went to Cal Arts, because it was so intellectual and sanitized. But yeah, I think that a community is the first place to start, and you be around other artists, and little by little that doubt leaves you, and you're like, I can make something, and I can have an art show, or I can have a theme to my work. And I think that's where it starts, is with community. And you have a great community here.
Yeah, thank you. This Potentialist workshop has been really important to me, and I'm sure plenty of other people, as getting to be like one of their first like art gallery shows, or one of their first experiences, like either like a punk band, or going to see an art gallery for the first time. Mm-hmm. Do you remember one of the first times that you got introduced into a community like this one?
It was at University of Nevada, Reno. We had a good community. And it still is a great community. I mean, you learn concept and you learn technique. It's not too far one way or too far the other way. It's a happy medium between technique and history and trends, alongside skill and concept. So I'm really glad that I went to UNR for my education. I got a very solid foundation, and the community was great. That's an individual choice, and if you're on the fence about whether to go to a university or a college and belong to a community, then go hang out with them, you know, without being, quote, you know, involved. Go hang out and talk to people. See if they're people you want to be around. I mean, that's where it's at. People, connection with people, you know, because otherwise you're isolated. And I don't think artists should be isolated. You know, I'm not isolated. I live in a professional world with special ed students, and I get to follow, you know, my truth there. And I have the art side of me that I follow that truth, and both have community. You know, I cannot stress community more. if you're going to isolate yourself, at least do something that you can show for your time. You know, I'm alone, I'm going to draw or I'm going to paint. I mean, that's what I did when I first started. I liked to spend a lot of time by myself in those days, and I used all that time to paint and draw. And I had something to show for my time, which made me feel productive. It's one thing to be isolated, disconnected, and unproductive, and it's another to be isolated but productive because you have something to offer the world. I spent 10 years in Los Angeles working in the film industry. I went to California Institute of the Arts. I had a benefactor there for a couple years where all I did was paint. He had his carpenter build huge canvases and he bought all the paint, and all I did was paint all day. And he got to keep all the artwork though. So it was, you know, because these were big paintings. They were like 17-foot paintings. And that's a lot of money in a painting that scale.
Their pure innocence.
Their pure innocence and their curiosity. I think the combination of those two things intrigues me. And Ruby X has always been whimsical. And she can't read.
Me neither.
Ruby can't read.
And she's in a book.
And she's in a book. She gets together with Dusty Blue, and they get married, but he keeps bringing her home books to read because he loves to read, and she can't read, so she goes to a tutor every Wednesday night, and she didn't tell him that she can't read, and he starts wondering, where does she go every Wednesday night? And he confronts her and says, where do you go? And she says, wouldn't you like to know? And she storms off. And then he finds out that she can't read. And he asks her to marry him. And they live happily ever after.
That's great.
And she's a painter.
Of course.
I usually get involved in a project. I have projects around that I can work with a little bit, and then I get hooked on one of them, and then it's there to the races. I just start creating until it's finished. Usually, I make a lot of work. I do a lot of artwork, so it's good because I have a big mix of things to choose from that I can show. It's like, do I want to show this on another date later? Yes, that's just a part of life. I think the bittersweet, the irony is huge with me. I find irony in my work and in my life all the time. And I think that the ironies of my life lead me to create whimsical things. I'm writing a screenplay called The Backyard Exorcism, and that's what I'm working on right now.
That sounds dope. All right.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, I understand.
Get involved in community. That's where I'm at. Community is everything. If you can't connect with people, you're swimming around by yourself.
Swimming.
Swimming.
Got